We have a lot of questions that relate to the volunteer element of your initiative. So I'll go back to that. And the top one on our Slido channel currently is, how do you maintain ongoing engagement of volunteers in this initiative? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think it kind of ties into how do you keep volunteers involved in any type of volunteer engagement, right? It needs to be interesting and valuable for the volunteer, and they need to see kind of what the ultimate outcome and impact will be of that work. So that's why we usually, when we have new people joining the lab, we try to get them involved in specific activities right away. Otherwise, if you're just kind of coming to the weekly meetings, it might not be so clear to you what you're doing and why you're there. So for example, in the past, for example, when I was starting at ITC, I got very involved in the innovation boot camp and the design and the delivery of the very first boot camp we did. And so for me, that was where I saw myself for a long time in the lab, because I was, I had a very good supervisor who says, you're going to work on this. We ultimately want to deliver this to have more innovation in the projects. So I had a very clear task and I had a clear kind of objective, but then I was also given a lot of space to be creative and design it on my own while getting the feedback from the teams. So I think a lot of times we see that replicating itself when someone comes in who's new. They have usually an onboarding coffee with someone who's already in the lab, where we explain the current workload that's happening, the current activities, and we try to incorporate that person into something they might be interested in. And usually in that first onboarding meeting, there's a conversation about how much time they have, whether their supervisor is open to them spending a bit more time on the lab, those types of things, so we can see what's the right fit. And it's also based on what they're interested in. So if there's a very cool initiative that comes into the lab, but no one is super willing or interested to carry it forward, then it means that that might not move forward. So I think that is kind of something you have to reckon with when you have a volunteer structure, because ultimately it's people's motivations and interest that will keep them involved. And also I think we have it's a very fun team, it's very interactive. So I think the social aspect for me is very important, because every week, at least once a week, you're talking to people who are not from your section, your team, your division, who are probably going to bring different ideas to you. So it's also a space for creativity and growing, I think, personally as well as professionally.